Alrighty, guys, welcome to the event browser little QA that we've got. I'm going to start sharing my screen, so please let me know if you can't see it. Okay, you should be able to see my event browser screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, great. So the event browser module, it's everything that happens in the system. An event is created. So it's your significant events for your slot machines, things that happen in the different modules. So for instance, if a cashier adds money to a card, that's an event. When a cashier opens a shift, that's an event. When somebody starts up one of the ACE modules, that's an event. The machine door opens, it's an event. So your event browser basically just gives you a live running feed of what's happening in the system. So when you open up the event browser, it will automatically start showing you the events as they're happening. Now, because this is just a database that I've restored, there's no events that's going to come through right now. So for our purposes, I'm going to do a query so that we can see what we can do with a query, so that we can also see what we can do retrospectively just to analyze some of the data going back 30 days. So I click on the query button, and then here's the different columns that we can query on. So for instance, if we want to query on a specific card number, you can specify the card number. If we wanted to see based on a specific date and time, we can then go and choose a gaming day. Let's see, the 1st of April. And then we can have a look at how many records we want to return. I normally just go and make it 10,000. Then I click on add for the event and I click on OK. Then at the bottom, you'll see refresh is active and current filter is a query that we're running. And it is refreshing, so it's still getting the data and no items yet. Let's query for something else. I think I might not have the correct gaming day. So remove, we go back to event date and time. Let's do the 27th of March. And okay. Okay. Something is either taking too long or I don't have data. All right, so let's just, while we're waiting for it, in the event browser, similar to what we saw last week on the BI tool, or the week before on the BI tool, we have similar buttons. We've got clear if we want to clear everything that's on the screen. We can export to Excel. We can pause the refresh. So if we're looking at current data, we can pause it so that nothing else that comes in will be shown. Then we can add custom events, but I'll talk about that a bit later. Then we get COM settings. So what we've done in the past, we can send whatever is happening in the event browser as it is coming through. We can send that information through to the COM port. And what they used to do is connect a serial cable to the machine and connect that to CCTV so they can then overlay that information on their recordings. Then we still have our enable grid grouping. And then we've got a few other buttons, the event type customization. So if you guys just give me a quick second, I just want to quickly see why we're not getting data. Does anyone have any questions so far for me?
Sorry, said the same issue, but it was lagging a little bit.
Yeah.
My connection dropped, but now I'm back.
There's also, you're breaking up a bit.
Okay, let me quickly change my internet to
It's doing that crazy Zoom. All right, cool.
Okay, so we're back.
And you.
I need to share my screen again.
Yeah, I think it's just when you started sharing your screen, it drops a little bit. Let's see how it goes this time.
Okay, let's see. I'm just quickly checking a gaming day. Alrighty. Okay, we want one for gaming day. Let's say 47, which is the 29th of April. Okay, so we query, remove. Let's just say machine number 1166, 1166. Unless I've just broken everything. There we go. Yes. Okay. So we've got information back. Just depends on how we ask the question, I guess. So once we've got events, we can sort on any of the columns any way that we want to. Then also, when you hover over a column, you'll see there's a little filter button. So you can click on it and you can specify a card number there if you wanted to, or you could go and have a look at different columns that you can add. Now you'll see I only have a few columns that I'm showing at the moment, but if I wanted to show a little bit more information, I can right click on any of the columns and I can go and click on column chooser. And then I can go and change and put in extra columns, shift number, I can do member name, I can do anything that we really want to see extra. So depending on what you're looking for in Event Browser, you might not want all the columns displayed if it's not going to be helpful. So what we can do with the Enable Grid Grouping. So when I click Enable Grid Grouping, I can now go and drag a column and see what different events I have. And there is one that I still want to have, event description. And then I'm going to group by the event description. So now you'll see, I can easily see if there was any errors on the machine, because now I don't have to go through all the information to find something. So I can easily see here, there was an error on the slot machine. There was an EEPROM error. And if I want to have more information, I can just expand that and get more information on when we received that error. I can also minimize that. I can go to machine parameters modified. I can then also, sorry?
We just lost you a little there, Marie.
Oh, no, okay.
You when you went to open up software error.
Okay, so when you have all your events grouped, you can just simply expand on the event to see the different instances of that event. So this makes it easy to quickly see if there's anything happening that you need to focus on, or when you're doing an investigation on weird things that happen on the machine, you can quickly see if there's anything that you want to look at. Now, for instance, we want to export this to Excel so we can analyze it better. It's the same as with the BI tool. We click on export, we give it a name, and it exports the view that you currently have. So group the way you have it. If we wanted to group even more, so we could, for instance, group on card number, and it will show us if there was any card numbers that I wanted to group on. So here, for instance, card balance adjusted, we can see the card number easily and then go and have a look at the card transactions in the reports if we needed to. Now, I think there's a question that you guys might want to ask about, I want to focus on certain events. I don't want to just see everything as it happens, and I want to focus, for instance, on this specific machine number 1166. I can go and customize my filters for certain events. For instance, you wanted to look at machines where there's a cash out or money is inserted. We can go and manage filters, and I'm going to create one for machine significant events, and then I am going to have a look at my event types, and here I can choose card cashback. For instance, I can add the event type. I can then go and click on the cash out one. I can go in and have a look at, let's see, parameter. So you see here, we can actually just go and add what we're looking for. And then when we click on OK and close, now we can go and choose the filter that we've just created to see everything that we've just filtered on. Any questions so far? Or did I get lost again?
Just to broke up a little bit in the last 20 or so seconds from my side.
Okay, what did you hear last?
It was kind of, you were going back to the filters section, I think.
Okay, so.
But it was just lagging quite a lot. So it was like your voice was, you know, when your voice speeds up.
Okay.
Back to.
Right. Okay, so let's just recap. Under the manage filters, we can go and create filters for whatever we want to monitor. So we could even do one, let's do one for cash desk. If you wanted to monitor event type, cash buy-in, we want to see opening float, adjusted, and things like that. So you see, you can now go and customize what you want to see and what you want to focus on. So for instance, if we were opening up the casinos again and we had to do something for social distancing and monitoring where customers are playing, a great idea would be, sorry?
The last thing I heard from you was if you want to open.
Okay. All right. So if we're looking at opening casinos again, you guys might want to look at specific machines and specific events. For instance, when a customer puts a card into the machine and then when they cash out. So for that, I would suggest creating a filter for those events. Then you could have the event browser running somewhere and you can monitor when those events happen. I don't know who's going to start opening when and what requirements you might have, but this could be something that you could look at for seeing where the customers are. And then if you have to go and clean the machines or something, you could have a look at that. So that you can see the moment somebody cashes out, go to the machine, do what you need to, and there you go back again to your event browser. Any questions so far?
Barry, hi. Can you set up a query and get it to automatically run, say, every day at a certain time and export that also automatically to, you know, the destination that you want?
No, unfortunately not. So this is more manual. So there's no scheduling incorporated in this. It could definitely be something that we could look at to enhance the system. But then I think it would more be in the mobile manager, because there we've got the email notifications and things like that. So you could build that in with the events. Because I think we did that in the mobile manager last week, having a look at different events that you can have a look at. You can filter for specific events, and then when that event happens, it would pop up on your mobile manager. So I'm sure from there we could potentially export that daily at a specific time if need be. So we can definitely
thanks.
enhance that.
Yeah, DJ, Event Browser is more looking at all of the real-time events that's occurring in the system. So it's any sort of authorization or any event that the system detects, but it's in real time. So it would be difficult to schedule, because it would be assuming that that event would be happening at the same time every day, for example. But as Marie said, that's probably something that we could look at through the mobile manager application.
Hold on. I just thought of something.
Aha.
We have a report for significant events, but looking at the history table, we could possibly create one where you could choose different events and then you schedule a report. Or even just if you want to have the event browser information exported on a daily basis into...
That's a good idea. So if that event happened, then you'd get the report with the information. Or if it didn't happen, you'd get the report, but it would just show that the event didn't occur.
Yeah, so we do have a report that focuses on the significant events for machines where when we want to look at variances and things, there's certain events that we monitor, and it will give you the information based on that, and then you can schedule that to be emailed to you in PDF format at the moment. But I know there's a DRF or development request to have the scheduled emails in the Excel format as well. So you could possibly use that on a daily basis to have a look, so that nobody needs to log into Event Browser and you can just get the report.
Okay, so like when the cash desk does its first transaction that would appear on the event browser, then the query could be triggered to go back the last 24 hours and send data to or export it to Excel.
Yeah, so I'm sure I can play with a report where you can go and specify what type of events you're looking for, and then or we could do one that says significant events for cash desk, and then maybe significant events for tables, and create a report based on that with the events for those areas that can then be scheduled to email for the last 24 hours.
Okay, great, thanks.
So there's a few possibilities there that we can use for Mobile Manager even. Great question.
Are there any is it just email, or are there any other alerts you could go, say, to a surveillance manager on his phone?
No alerts yet. That would be something that I would be interested in having some input, maybe a user group discussion on alert systems, to see what your thoughts are, and what you would like an alert system kind of to do, and how you want, or suggestions on how you want the output to be, as an email or a WhatsApp type thing or something like that. Would you guys be interested in a user group discussion like that?
I'm just wondering if the system could give people the freedom to do that. Say, for example, surveillance manager has a certain concern about a machine that's a little bit hidden from a camera, and wants to look at patterns of day, who's going in there, and
so for that, I would set up a
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
So, Marie, remember with Event Browser, we've got the port output.
Yes.
And that was designed around, you could set up a query, but but then Event Browser has to stay open.
Correct.
With that query running all the time, and then we can push all those events out of a COM port. And the idea, DJ, there was to send it back to a surveillance system or a paging system or something. So, and then you could take the COM port and map it to anything you want, an LPT, one printer. You could map it to a network drive. You can do quite a bunch of things when mapping a COM port, so that output goes out as an alert. So something could be built around that. And I know we've also built a CCT interface, and Marie, you know more about how this
Yes.
works, where we are redirecting audit trail events to specific IP addresses so that we can actually take that audit trail event and overlay it on a CCTV camera feed. So yeah, there is something that can be done. I think, and Maria, I think your idea to have a user group discussion around this is a good idea. But a lot of the work's been done and might just be a matter of pulling the pieces together.
Yeah, and seeing what the different groups would like to see in an alert type of system. I think that's something we can maybe schedule as well. And then DJ, just something else. For instance, for a surveillance manager, he could use different filters if he wanted to have a look at a specific machine that's hidden, and he could have that filter running, and then export that to Excel to look for trends. Even if he doesn't have it running like 24/7, you can always, the filter doesn't worry about the gaming day. It just looks for the last 30 days for any of the information that's contained in your filter. So he could then easily just go and export that to Excel and analyze it there if he needed to.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. And now I think the last thing that we want to have a look at is the event type customization. So when we have the event browser running, you'll see constantly the messages will change, and it will be cache disk, it will be a slot machine, it will be tables. So if you wanted to look at certain events as it happens live, but you want to be alerted with colors as to the event, we can go to the event type customization and we can assign different colors to it. For instance, if we wanted to see when ACE module startup, for instance, I'm just going to choose a color. We want to go red to purple, for instance, and press enter. Then we can choose another one, for instance, GM. End of day started, for instance. We want to do it green. And then as those events happen, you will see it show a color. So I'm quickly just going to open up a module. And machine significant events. So I'm going to choose filters, no filter, I want live data. Let's see, we open machine manager. You see that we've got our different colors coming through. For the module startup, we made that red going to purple. So as the events start happening, you'll see the different colors, and you can quickly have a look at what's happening if you were monitoring in live in a surveillance environment, for instance. So if a machine door is opened illegally, or if there's a RAM error, or if you're looking for machine lockups when there's a jackpot, for instance, so that you know surveillance will be called for verification and things like that. Any questions?
No, I'm good at this point.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
I think just to jump in, as you touched on a few minutes ago with setting up events for cashing out, for example. So that might be something that surveillance or the slot manager wants to have running on their PC, and they get a bright red or whatever color when a machine cashes out, and then they can implement a floor procedure to go and clean that machine or whatever sort of processes are necessary in the various venues that start reopening. But there's an avenue that you guys can start to use for that.
Operationally, yeah, definitely. So there's quite a few things that you can use the event browser for. You can use it to retrospectively see if a certain machine was having issues and things like that on the floor. So it all depends on how you want to look at things, what you want to monitor. So I will definitely suggest that you guys start playing with the event browser and have a look at what it gives and the different functionalities in there. And if you've got any questions, send those questions through, and I'm sure we can answer them quickly, or we could even have another discussion about Event Browser with the questions that you guys send through to us. No questions any further? Or further questions?
No, we're fine, thank you.
Okay, great. So I think the Event Browser is a nice one to play with. And I see Sean is asking, all events only last for 30 days. The live events is saved for 30 days, and after 30 days, it's archived to the event audit trail history. But you can change that in the system config so that you can see maybe for the last 60 days. Or I think, yeah, 60 days is the maximum. But remember that active table for the events is going to grow big, and it might slow down a few things. But if you need to have access to live for the last 30 days through Event Browser, that is easily doable. And if there's anything that's not in the current Event Browser for the information for the last 60 days, for instance, and you want to have a look at anything older than that, you can always go through to the reports module. And I'll show you quickly. It's under machines, significant events, significant events for slots. And I think there's one that we did for just event audit trail history. I'll just have a look, but you'll be able to export that and go back more than 30 days. You could go back for a year if you needed to, and you can also then export that to Excel and you can analyze that. Any questions? If there's no further questions, I just... Sorry? Alrighty. Okay, so next week, I think the plan was to do promotions and what we can do and using chatbots for our next QA session. Is that correct? Everyone's still happy with that?
Yep, works for me.
Okay, great.
Sounds good. I think there's a good question there by Ian Walker's, or a good point by Ian Walker as well, about the different messaging services that are available. So that's definitely something that we can take and discuss offline as well. If you guys, any of the other guys are using different services, and we can have a look at the pros and cons and see if that's a discussion for future implementation in the system as well.
Yeah, I see Ian says he's doing something with Telegram, sending messages from Excel to Telegram. So that could be something interesting to look into as well. So yes, and suggestions from you guys, if you want to do a user group discussion, pop us a mail or send us a Zoom message, and we can definitely see if there's some commonalities, and we could discuss that in a following or in a next QA session. Okay.
Sorry, Mari.
Yes.
I just wanted to find out, is Hannah speaking?
Yes.
I just want to find out the email you sent for us for the invite.
Yes.
I don't know if it's my email. Every time that code goes to the 29th of March invite. I don't know if it's my email or something. It's every time it's the same code.
I think I'll just have to ask Cliff to just double check those emails. He's sending out the emails from MailChimp. So I'll just ask him offline so that he can double check that for us.
Just run that past me again quickly, Hannes. I didn't follow that.
The email we received for the invite. You know that you get that invite and the last numbers, the ID number for the meeting, that stays on the old one for the 29th of March. It was the last week and the week before. It was the same code. It doesn't update the new code for the
okay, I know what that is. It's a Zoom thing. Okay, Marie, I'm just using the same. I used the same invite. I think we're copying the same invite instead of setting up a new
meeting.
A new meeting each time.
What I could,
with Zoom, guys. You got to painful. You got to create it from scratch every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I could
Yeah,
also
my
do.
wife's got the same problem. I know what it is. Marie, it's you and I can fix it. It's easy.
Okay. Cool. 100%. Thanks, Cliff.
Cool.
Okay.
you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next week, same time.
Alrighty.
Yes.
Take
Cool.
care.
Take
Thanks very
care.
much, Mary. Those guys.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.